A few years ago, almost nobody cared about the processor inside their phone. Most people bought a phone because of the camera, the battery, the screen, or simply because it was an iPhone, a Samsung, or another popular brand. The processor was just something hidden inside the phone. Nobody really talked about it. But then, mobile games became much bigger. Games like PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty Mobile, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, and later powerful emulators started pushing phones much harder. Suddenly, the processor became one of the biggest reasons to choose one phone over another. If your phone had a weak chip, your games lagged. If it had a powerful chip, everything felt smooth. That completely changed how people looked at smartphones. Now we're entering another big step in mobile technology, the move to 2nm processors. The companies making these chips are promising faster speed, lower power use, less heat, better battery life, and smoother gaming. It sounds amazing, but here's the big question. Will 2nm really change mobile gaming? Or is it just another number companies use to sell more expensive phones? Let's break it down. For many years, Android gamers mostly looked for one name, Snapdragon. Why? Because Snapdragon chips gave excellent gaming performance. But it wasn't only about having a fast processor. Qualcomm's Adreno graphics were also very good. Most Android games were built to work well with Adreno. Emulators also worked better. Game developers tested their games on Snapdragon phones more often. That made a huge difference. If you wanted the best gaming phone, chances were it had a Snapdragon chip inside. Brands like Asus ROG Phone, Red Magic, Black Shark, Lenovo Legion, and many others all used Snapdragon in their gaming phones. Generation after generation, Qualcomm kept improving, from the Snapdragon 845 to the 855, 888, 8 Gen 1, 8 Gen 2, 8 Gen 3, and now the latest Snapdragon Elite chips. Every new generation brought better graphics, better speed, and better efficiency. Gamers started learning something important. Having lots of RAM doesn't automatically make a phone good for gaming. A powerful processor matters much more, especially if you enjoy heavy games or if you love emulation. Emulators need both a strong CPU and a powerful GPU. They also depend on good drivers. That's another reason Snapdragon became so popular. Its graphics drivers are supported by many emulators. So even today, if you're serious about Android emulation, Snapdragon is usually the safest choice. But Qualcomm wasn't alone. Samsung had Exynos, MediaTek had its own processors, Apple built its own A-series chips, Huawei created Kirin, and over the years, every company tried to compete. MediaTek has one of the biggest comeback stories. Years ago, many people avoided MediaTek for gaming. People thought it was only for cheap phones. Performance wasn't always great, but things have changed. The Dimensity series became much better. Now, modern Dimensity chips can handle almost every Android game without problems. They're powerful, they're efficient, and they compete with Snapdragon in many areas. But there's still one area where Snapdragon usually stays ahead: advanced emulation. Many emulators and graphics drivers still work better on Snapdragon phones. That doesn't mean MediaTek is bad, it just means Snapdragon still has an advantage for people who like pushing their phones to the limit. Then there's Apple. Apple makes some of the fastest smartphone chips in the world. Their performance is incredible. Battery life is also excellent. But iPhones use iOS. Most Android emulators and customization tools simply don't exist there. So for Android gamers who enjoy tweaking settings and running emulators, Apple isn't really competing in the same space. Samsung has had a different journey. Some Exynos chips were very good, others had problems. People complained about heating, battery drain, and lower gaming performance compared to Snapdragon. That's why many Galaxy fans preferred Snapdragon versions whenever Samsung sold different versions in different countries. Now things are getting interesting again, because Samsung has introduced its first 2nm mobile processor. This new chip is built using a much smaller manufacturing process. But what does that actually mean? Think of it like this: if a processor can do the same work while using less power, that's a big win. Less power means less heat. Less heat means the phone keeps running fast for a longer time, and your battery lasts longer. That's actually more important than getting a few extra frames per second. Nobody wants a phone that runs perfectly for 5 minutes and then slows down because it gets too hot. A cooler phone is a better gaming phone. Samsung also added better cooling technology inside the chip package itself to help remove heat more efficiently. That sounds promising, but real-life testing is what matters. A company can promise amazing performance, but if the phone gets too hot after 20 minutes, those promises don't mean much. Now let's talk about TSMC. This company doesn't make phones. Instead, it builds chips for many of the biggest brands in the world. Apple, Qualcomm, MediaTek, and many others all depend on TSMC. That's why TSMC is one of the most important companies in the entire smartphone industry. Its new 2-nanometer process is expected to bring another big improvement. Apple is expected to be one of the first companies to use it in future iPhones. Qualcomm and MediaTek are still using advanced 3-nanometer chips for many of their latest processors. Those chips are already incredibly powerful, but sooner or later they'll also move to 2-nanometer. Competition won't let anyone stay behind for long. Huawei is another interesting company. Many people are wondering if Huawei will also release a powerful new processor soon. Right now, there is no solid proof that Huawei has a true 2-nanometer mobile chip ready. The company has made impressive progress despite many challenges, but building chips at this level is extremely difficult. Even if Huawei releases a faster Kirin processor, the improvements may come from better design and smarter engineering instead of moving directly to 2-nanometer. Now let's answer the biggest question. What will 2-nanometer actually do for gamers? First, better battery life. That's something everyone wants. Second, less heating. Nobody enjoys holding a hot phone during long gaming sessions. Third, more stable performance. Instead of slowing down after a few minutes, your phone should keep running smoothly for much longer. Fourth, better graphics. Future games will become more realistic, better lighting, better shadows, larger worlds, higher quality textures. A stronger processor makes all of that possible. Fifth, better AI features. AI is becoming part of gaming too. It can improve image quality, help stabilize frame rates, reduce power use, and even help keep your phone cooler while playing. But there's something we also need to remember. Smaller chips don't magically solve every problem. Phone makers decide how much power the chip uses. If they push the chip too hard just to get higher benchmark scores, the phone will still get hot. That's why cooling systems are becoming just as important as the processor itself. We're already seeing phones with giant vapor chambers. Some gaming phones even include cooling fans. External coolers are becoming more common too. As games become more demanding, better cooling will matter even more. So will 2-nanometer change mobile gaming? Yes, but maybe not in the way many people expect. The biggest improvement won't just be higher frame rates, it will be better efficiency, longer gaming sessions, cooler phones, and smoother performance over time. That's what most gamers actually want. The future of mobile gaming will depend not only on smaller processors, it will depend on 3 things working together: a more efficient chip, a better cooling system, and smart software that knows how to balance power, battery, and performance. When those 3 come together, that's when mobile gaming will take its next big step. And honestly, I think the next few years are going to be very exciting for every mobile gamer.